Oh, it's been a fat minute since I've done a versus battle. Now, I'm just going to save some time here for people who may or may not scale DMC higher than Uni. If you do not agree with any of the Uni or higher arguments for DMC, I'll just save you some time right now. Beerus wins via AP stomp pretty easily. But if you're okay with like the higher end scaling for DMC, or you just don't care and you want to hear like what's going on in the video, stick around. So usually these go through 5 categories. The first one is can they kill each other, because there are characters who just have immortalities that would make it impossible to die. Technically, yes, Dante should be able to kill Beerus, since Beerus has no like restrictions that we know of that would prevent it from dying conventionally. And so recently in the community, especially with the new Pinnacle of Combat scans, Dante's regeneration can be argued for insane values. If you take it at its highest possible interpretation as it stands right now, Beerus cannot kill Dante, so that's already going to be a big problem. So he can't put Dante down, but he can still like potentially destroy Dante's body. So we'll just associate that as the win con. Like, could he just destroy Dante rather than killing him? That's fine with me. I'm not gonna like really be too strict on this one. So in regards to physical strength, this one doesn't really matter since these characters layer their attacks with energy anyways, but Dante is at least massively superhuman, again, trying to avoid pinnacle of combat here, or peak of combat, depending on how you want to pronounce it, or just get, like, claim what it's called. And Beerus has the same situation, all attacks are layered with energy, so just could scale those AP, but doesn't really matter for this time around. So let's move on to speed. So here's where we start getting into the categories that are going to be a little more interesting to deal with. Speed. So Dante has at least infinite speed, or inaccessible, depending on what terminology you want to use these days. Some examples are being far stronger and faster than demons that can cross the demon world, which is infinite in size. And he can move in Doomray Island, the second item DMC2, when time has stopped, along with minor demons, and he'd be massively faster in them. He's faster in Hell Vanguard, he can move through time and space, and he's faster for the most part than Demon Kings and higher level opponents who just massively upscale above minor demons, who can already perform these feats. Beerus is at least massively faster than Light. I believe the actual number ranges somewhere in the 39 sextillion like times the speed of light, in that kind of range. So massively into light speed. However, there are arguments for him being infinite or inaccessible speed based on characters being able to move outside of time. Very brief change post editing. I did go back and see the time machine feed again to make sure that like it was valid. Personally, by the time they end up getting onto the time machine, like time hasn't been erased yet or anything. So no, that feed would just not be valid. In terms of speed, even though we haven't seen Beerus' upper limits, Dante's upscaling above a vast array of people who would upscale above these base feats. And there's just more consistent feats and more consistent scaling on Dante's end for this level of speed versus Beerus. But even if we gave Beerus inaccessible or infinite speed, Dante in base form would be able to keep up with him, let alone DTs as well. So in terms of speed, Dante wins. So, moving on to durability and AP, the reason I'm going to put these two together this time around is because there's not really too much to talk about here. They both scale to their AP, although Dante does have techniques like Royal Guard that will allow them to mitigate the damage. Keep in mind we are using mainly DMC2 Dante for this one. We are not including things from 4 and 5 for the most part. That's just overkill. So, moving on to raw power and attack potency. This is kind of the one that makes or breaks this entire discussion, with the exception of one ability we'll talk about later. Beerus is at least Uni Plus, was capable of destroying Universe 7 as an offshoot of his battle with Goku. He was going to destroy 2 universes fighting his brother, Champa, and has multiple statements of being able to destroy a universe. Now, keep in mind, this is a universe in reference to Dragon Ball, which is a macrocosm, so it is bigger than a standard universe. He could be low multi if one assumes the individual universes have their own separate space times, but there are arguments against that, and even then, Beerus never demonstrates that ever doing that by himself. He can do it with Champa, or Champa, I don't know how to pronounce it, and it's late where I'm at, so forgive me. But it's never really established that he can do it by himself. Dante is at least low multi, since he can't fight beings who can destroy the demon world, and scales far above people who can merge both the human world and the demon world, and scales above people who are stronger than them. So, and those are separated in space and time. They do have a space-time barrier separating them. So that works out just fine. The demon world has separate space times as well within it. I'm not really going to give a number for an estimation on too high, but the point is that there's at least 2 we can confirm here, whereas with Beerus, the best he's done is 1. And keep in mind that Dante would be upscaling above characters who can affect these two in base already by a pretty substantial margin, and this isn't including D tier Majin form as well. Beerus has no transformations, and at best, we could give him low multi, but that would just be scaling to Dante's base. So, in terms of attack potency, Dante takes this one pretty handily, more so due to more feats on Dante's end of scaling the people who are at this level, whereas Beerus and his people haven't really demonstrated too consistently. So now we're going to be going over powers and abilities. However, I just want to clarify for the record that I will be trying to avoid giving Dante all of his abilities up until this point because there are so fucking many of them that it's not funny. Dante has a lot of abilities. We'd be here for like probably 5 minutes talking about it. So I'm just going to go over Beerus' abilities. We will be using the Versus Battle wiki page for reference since their powers and abilities section is very accurate most of the time. There might be a few abilities missing, but it's like 90 to 95% accurate most of the time. So, alright, let's go ahead and give Beerus. Acrobatics, superhuman physical characteristics, acrobatics, flight, space flight, self-sustenance, type 1, master hand-to-hand combat, pressure point strikes, after image creation, breath attack, chi manipulation. Can obviously do it like Dragon Ball characters where they can just manipulate their chi and make themselves stronger. Regeneration. Since he was able to quickly heal from a cut that he received from Goku, so it's pretty low. Enhanced senses supplemented by ki sensing. Sealing can redirect most conventional attacks with ki. Duplication, Danmaki, which is just multiple attacks at once. Longevity, I believe duplication is in reference to the cloning techniques as well. Limited clairvoyance, can sometimes have precognitive dreams of the past and the future, as seen when he foresaw the rise of Super Saiyan God. Limited power nullification, this is just in reference to being able to like cancel out energy attacks. Likely telekinesis, since the other gods have this ability. Heat manipulation, since apparently it can scourge the air and overheat Bulma's ship. Contributed to half the energy it created the Beerus ball and directly controlled it. Paralysis inducement. This one I'm a little disagreement on. Paralyzing a young and adult Vegeta. I believe that's through fear, but I don't think that's direct paralysis inducement. I could be wrong though. So then he has shockwave generation, explosive manipulation, sound manipulation, air manipulation, weather manipulation, corrosion inducement because he corroded the room while fighting alongside Champa. Instinctive reaction, he has some degree of ultra instinct, but he hasn't fully mastered it. Cosmic awareness, can use the power of destruction, granting non-physical interaction, which means he can interact and destroy ghosts. Existence erasure, he can erase living beings, souls, spirits, inanimate objects, and energy attacks, and much more from existence. Aura can generate a protective aura of energy destruction, which erases energy blast. Void manipulation and limited spatial manipulation. This is non-combat applicable. This is scaling to Topo, who warp the environment of the world of Void. Can possibly create dimensional rifts and destroy space, time, and pocket dimensions with his energy via power scaling. He has resistances to extreme cold and cosmic radiations. Empathetic manipulation. Extrasensory perception. Corrosion inducement. Void manipulation and existence erasure, since they can resist the attacks of, gods of destruction. And he does resist Tomb Force as well, since he was able to resist Ariel's Tomb Force. Just to be clear, that extrasensory perception resistance, which means that he wouldn't be sensed by other people, is strictly in reference to beings lesser than a god, according to the series. So keep that in mind. Oh my god, Dante has so many abilities. I'm going to show some screenshots probably of how many abilities he has, and that's not even including resistances, but I'll just go over what they give him for his DMC2 key, since that's the one we're using here. But keep in mind that when I say DMC2, that's technically at least like a lot more source material to work with. So all previous abilities, screenshots will be in the video for this, plus Aura, Explosive and Fear Inducing, which basically he was able to scare people away and cause things to explode. Improved Accelerated Development, Improved Reactive Evolution. Dante can develop the ability to negate or overcome his opponent's generation in the middle of combat. I would also point out that he did this against Void Mundus as well. And when some time has passed, when Beerus shot the bullets from the anti-tank rifle and the beast head, which created a vortex in the process, Dante was shown to be unaffected by being closer to him, was even able to stab Belly inside there and kill beast heads without any type of problems. This is in reference to the fact that earlier in the novel, when Dante feels Burial's bullets, they kind of do affect him, but by the time we get to the end, it doesn't affect him anymore. Limited time stop with the Chrono Heart. Dante would have access to the amulet for this one. It only activates a Devil Trigger, and when Dante hits his target, but it is capable of freezing demons who should be immune to time manipulation, like Despair Embodied, and higher powerful demons like or not stronger in Despair Embodied, but other like weaker demons like Phantom. Let's see right here, going on a little bit. Intangibility via Smell of Fear, but that's an item. Don't really care about that. Fire Manipulation with the Flame Hearts. Disamplification with Quick Heart and Offense Hearts to amplify his speed and strength 10 times and 2 times respectively. He has Enhanced Healing with the Healing Heart. Energy absorption with burials, anti-tank rifle, enhanced non-physical interaction and immortality negation type 5, and instinctive reaction, was capable of interacting and eventually killing an alternate timeline Mundus who exists in an empty void, and was also capable of instinctively dodging his attacks. So basically he has ultra instinct, and there are multiple showings of this. There's stuff in the DMC1 novel as well. Analytical prediction and instinctive reaction. Predicted attacks a faster enemy who couldn't keep track of and use his own instinct to land a fatal blow on the opponent's head. Natural weaponry homage form, so you can grow 2 blades out. So I'm only going to mention the resistances that are worth a damn for this fight in particular, which I'll talk about in its own separate section. But keep in mind that that's just one game worth of one game and one novel's worth of abilities. Dante has at least 5 keys prior to that, and I'm not even including that the fact that VSB literally goes out of their way to give different powers and abilities for the Spartas in their own section, like accelerated development, reactive evolution, enhanced senses, master acrobatics, supernatural or superior supernatural willpower, non-physical interaction, exsensory perception, telekinesis, teleportation, telepathy. Like, there are so many powers that they have to separate it into separate pages. I'll try and show off the pages in the video, but like I'm not going to read through all of this because we'd be here for like, again, not even 5 minutes. If I were to go through all of it, even without going into detail on specific ones, it would still take quite a while. But the point seems to be clear enough if you're watching this video. Dante has vastly more powers and abilities, and DMC2's key alone already gives him everything he needs to be Beerus. Even though they don't mention the being able to like fight Void Mundus and ignore his existence erasure. But, yeah, so with that said, I think based on the powers and abilities section already, you can kind of tell where the verdict's going. So let's get to the verdict. Now, to be as fair as possible here, I do want to talk about Beerus's potential other win con that a lot of people are probably going to ask about, or if they don't watch this video, and that's Hakai. So, Beerus as a god of destruction has the ability to erase things from existence, and it's debatable whether or not this needs AP. I think the manga has Goku using it on Merge Zamasu, which would mean it's not relying on AP, but we've never seen him use it on actual someone stronger than him anyway. So, in reference to Hakai, that's a pretty solid thing worth discussing. So, Dante can resist Hakai, as he can resist existence erasure from minor demons, and he can survive attacks from Nero and Virgil, who via scaling should be able to erase people from existence, including being able to conceptually erase things from existence like a demon's name, which is the complete concept of their being. Virgil has supporting statements scaling from 3 in reference to Beowulf statements saying that the only thing left of Beowulf is specifically just the gauntlets. That would mean that Virgil had destroyed his name, the fundamental concept of existence, stuff like that. If you want to take that at its like highest value. But if you want something a little more concrete, in DMC2's novel, Dante's bullets were erased from existence by Void Mundus, but during a later fight against Void Mundus in his true form and at the height of his power, he could not erase Dante's bullets. He couldn't even block them as he did earlier in the novel. And the DMC2 guidebook, Dante is stated to be able to blast pool from existence, which again would scale the Virgil and Nero's abilities, along with something that the Demon King should be able to do as well. He also resists the effects of the Beast Heads, which was stated to drain Ducas's existence as a byproduct of using them. The only thing left of Ducas is a statue that ends up becoming the Beast Heads, if I remember correctly, but I'm not going to check that right now. I do have this scan of them draining his existence, though, and Dante can resist those abilities, so there's no reason to say Dante can't resist Hakai outright. And since this is going to be at the end of the video anyways, I kind of want to touch on Pinnacle of Combat very briefly. Pinnacle of Combat has upgraded DMC's resistances and abilities to absurd levels, to the point where even if Dante couldn't resist Hakai, like let's say it could work on him, if you take Pinnacle of Combat scans at face value, which there's no reason not to, they're pretty blatant, Dante would just be able to come back even if Beerus' Hakai worked on him. Like, even if it fundamentally destroyed his, like, erased his soul and everything, Dante could still come back from just his name alone, technically. That's kind of how it works in DMC now, I guess. It's a little strange, but yeah, beyond that, there's also like other crazier statements for higher levels of speed, like immeasurable and stuff of that nature. I don't really want to get into it too much here. I'm just pointing out that, like, if I did want to get higher arguments with more blatant statements and evidence, I could just pull up the mobile game for that. But yeah, no. Okay, I don't really think I need to clarify this, but just in case someone doesn't like fully understand, Dante does win. Beerus has no way to put him down, and Dante would scale him in base, not including power amps, and also not including some of the more absurd scans from Pinnacle of Combat. If you made it this far, thank you guys for your time as always. Have a nice day, and I'll see you guys on the next stream or video. Take care, everybody.